After watching the trade and selling our cattle, it was nice to get home, and I was greeted on the yard by two little boys who were very interested in my boots.
Good morning, it's Maria here from Mid Wales. I'm a beef and sheep farmer. I'm in the middle of, well, I'm actually coming very close to the end of lambing, and I'm happy to say that this morning the lambing gods have been so kind to me that I've actually had some sleep and I feel human. And I thought I would just jump on to give you a quick update on where I am with my concoction of the little shepherd sweater, which I am knitting that colour work into that gauge sweater. So basically that is a Alafosslopi 4.5 metre pattern designed for a child, and I'm knitting it up and converting the charts to a 13 stitch gauge Alafosslopi pattern. And the idea was I have got 28 balls of leftover Gefjun from earlier projects, various colours, not enough of any one colour to knit a whole pattern, but they all very much merge, and I really like the way they play together. So what I did was I decided, in order to try and manage the colour work and give it some cohesion, I cast on the sleeves and the body on the same day, and it works on 7 colours. So it wants you to call one a main colour, but actually everything's just one skein. So I call the blue the main colour, and then that blends into the beige, which has got a very low contrast star with the dark brown, blends into the grey with a black pattern, and that then leads into the very dark grey, and I used a bright pink just for that section. And then I actually ran out of the child's chart, so I've gone back to the beginning and brought back in the beige with the dark brown, and now I have actually finished the sleeves. Happy to say the 2 sleeves are a perfect match. I had enough wool to completely match the colours, same dye lot, same everything. So they're now ready to be joined into the body and do the yoke work. And I'm on the main body, all of which I've been knitting along with the sleeves. I've basically kept huge amounts of copious notes about what row I'm on. And what you can't see is next to me on the settee, I have a row of the knitting wool balls, because I'll never remember which colours are which. So I can see how much I've got of each colour and so on. So this is an exact match until I get to here, where basically I had none left of this beige, oatmeal colour, but I had one ball of a very, very close match, but a different dye lot. So I would never have dared, knitted it and done a switch mid-panel, but nobody's going to notice that this oatmeal is 1 degree darker than this oatmeal. It's just going to look like a match. So that's good. I'm motoring my way through my leftovers. I am pretty sure I am going to have enough left to do another one of these sweaters. And actually, this year I've knit this one in extra large, and I think what I would like to do is another one the same but in large, because I've knit for 3 of 4 members of a family a sweater, and the dad's sweater I think is too big for him. I think that should go down to his son, who's a bigger bloke, and then he needs and that was an XL, so he needs a L. So that the dad's version I knit exactly that in XL, recycle that down to the son, and then knit dad another one in L of the Gefjun scraps, and then all the family then have all got a sweater which they may or may not wear, whatever. And I also then, if I don't think I'll have enough left, but if I did, I have got a metal detectorist friend, and isn't this just perfect for a metal detectorist? Because it's full colour work, it's effectively double thickness sweater. So I'm really, really thrilled with it. It is just such beautiful wool Gefjun. I know it's wool rustic and I know it's itchy, but really you will not get a more hard wearing warm sweater. You know, you don't wear it next to your skin, but as layer number 3 or layer number 4, you will not get a better item. So anyone who's outside, the man that's going to go to, him and his son, they both are international fencers. They go all over the world putting up commercial security fencing, and probably they mostly wear branded kit and all the rest of it. But I think, yeah, they'll make use of that, and if they don't, they'll pass it on to somebody who does. But yeah, it's I'm really enjoying the knit. It keeps your interest, that constant changing. And the other thing I've realised is that the little shepherd sweater, which I did honestly think they'd made a mistake, there's one error in the pattern that refers to it as being an adult size. It's the only actual error. If I'd have read further down, I'd have realised, yep, it is a child's pattern. It's knit to the gauge of Letloppy. And I have got a huge amount of Letloppy wool in stash. I've got about 4 or 5 big sweater projects backed up in my queue that I want to knit, and after that I will have a lot of leftovers. So I may yet knit one of these in the correct gauge just to use up all those leftovers. I've been really good. I was on one of these many doom scrolling websites with yarn sales, and what do I come across? A Letloppy sale, and it is less than half the price of new. So it's about £2 a skein, and I got so excited I put probably £300 worth of yarn in my shopping bag and thought, oh, I could buy 3 years worth of Letloppy here. This is absolutely amazing. And then I took a breath, paused, looked at my stash and went, I've got such a lot of knitting here backed up to do. And I've got things I want to buy in Wonderwool Wales. I've got some sock knitting wool that I want to hold with mohair, and I haven't got a match. I need to go and buy some matching mohair. And I've got lots and lots of things I want to knit. Loads of things I want to knit. So I resisted, and I am so pleased. But memo to self, hobby, sell Letloppy off, dirt cheap, middle of April. Remember for 2027, future Maria, watch this back, because if they're doing it now, they'll be doing it again next year. And I'll be needing lots of Letloppy again. It really is stunning wool. I can't fault Letloppy. Speaking of wool, however, I would like to showcase some Welsh wool. Now, in particular, I love knitting Aran. I've knit huge amounts of Aran sweaters over the years, but I've never knit one in the round. So I've been looking at Sari Norland's Billy. I've been looking at the Creia Bayers patterns. Haven't firmly decided and fixed on a pattern, but I think actually instead of knitting it, I've got some Cascade 220, which I think whatever pattern I like, I'll knit first in that as a really good trial run. But I would love to knit a cream Aran sweater of a really beautiful modern design in Welsh wool. So I'm thinking either Cambrian, Nellie and Eve, something Welsh, something pure Welsh. I mean, I really should. I'm a Welsh hill farmer producing 1,000 fleeces of Welsh wool. Why am I not showcasing Welsh wool? So yeah, that's on my mind. It pings back and forward into my brain quite frequently, because I very, very nearly sent off 100 of my own fleeces to be spun in a place in Launceston in Cornwall, and then I was going to bring it back and either knit with it undyed or dye it and see if I could generate a business. And then I realised that I would actually just be replicating what Nellie and Evie's doing, and she does it absolutely brilliantly. I haven't got a good eye for colour. I've never had a good eye for colour. So I thought, probably not the most sensible idea I've ever had. But I really do feel I want to do more with Welsh wool. So if any of you have got any patterns that you can recommend, that's Aran gauge, any wool, there's a few things, niche wool, is it Gwarthion? There's a few niche Welsh wool producers that produce like light greys and creams, undyed, spun. And I just think when I go to Wonderwool Wales, I think I'm going to have a little research into this and see what I can find. I might not buy them on the day, but I might just try and get some ideas. So I think when you see me at Wonderwool Wales, I shall be videoing, and then I'll be taking copious notes. Or maybe I'll just video it and then look back on the video of ideas. And I also need to find one stand, because last year I walked off with what I thought was a leaflet and it was somebody's pattern book. I owe somebody £3.50 from last year's shoplifting. I'm very sorry. I'm going to take that pattern book back with me this year so that I can find the woman and apologise and pay her £3.50 or whatever it was for the pattern book. It was a colour work booklet. It was absolutely beautiful. And there was lots and lots of leaflets. You know, the place is just amazing with leaflets. So I picked it up and then I got chatting to somebody, wandered off, and it was only when I got home and was going through my spinning. Don't get me started on spinning. I am dying to learn to spin. Oh gosh. I'm going off to Calon Lan's 11th of May event in South Wales, where she talks about we'll have cake. Oh yes. And there's some chance there to have a go at spinning. So I've got a herniated disc in my back, so it might be that spinning is not for me, but I would love to have a go at spinning. I've wanted to do it. I bought a spinning wheel when I was 20, and then I moved house 12 or 13 times. And along the way, I could only take with me what I could get into the back of a Vauxhall Nova because I was zigzagging across the UK. So I sold it, and it's still on my mind. I never even had one spinning lesson. I bought the spinning wheel off a lady who was going to give me spinning lessons and then got a different job and moved. So I never even got to the first lesson. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the 11th of May, not least because we finish lambing on the 30th of April. So I will have recovered from the lambing onslaught, and I'll be ready for some nice crafty fibre fun things. So yeah, that's my update on this. I'm ever so pleased with it. Couldn't be more delighted. It's gone much better than I'd expected. I thought I'd have to frog it 2 or 3 times and I haven't pulled a stitch out yet. Now I'm jinxing myself. You watch me have to frog something now I've said that, but there we are. So yeah, bye for now, and I'll update you later on in the month. Happy knitting.
So this is Layla, my 9-year-old goddaughter, who came with me on an inset day, and we spent the day together painting and making trifle, and Layla had a knitting lesson, which was no easy thing because Layla is left-handed, and it's very difficult to teach a left-hander to knit, especially when I'm not a very good teacher of anything. But yep, she's taken to it like a duck to water, and her scarf is coming along very nicely indeed. So yep, we had a really fun day together, and she's got trifle going home for her tea. So I'm looking forward to seeing the next day we spend together.
Hello, today is Wednesday the 22nd of April 2026. I have about 30 ewes left to lamb, getting quite excited, the end is in sight. And so I decided I was going to leave it till after Wonderwool Wales to do my end of month podcast, but I have got so many different things to talk to you about. There's so much going on. My kitchen table is rammed with clutter. I thought actually if I clear the decks with lots of things I've done up to date, then I can do one after Wonderwool Wales and hopefully talk about my acquisitions whilst I'm at Wonderwool Wales. Right, so with no further ado, what am I wearing? This is my Sisu, S-I-S-U blueberry sweater in 0051 Lopi, which is their cream base, with 2 colours, celery heather, I think, and fjord. And I'm absolutely delighted with it. It's come out exactly to gauge. It fits exactly as it should. Just couldn't be more pleased with it. Yeah, so that nothing else to say about this one other than that I love it. I have just done the first row of cast on for a Sisu age 6 sweater with some scrap wool, which I won't be showing you today because literally all I've done is 1 round of cast on. There's nothing to see. So, finished objects. What have I got finished objects for you today? Right, easy one to start with. I've made about 8 pairs of perfect newborn baby socks. I don't modify the pattern at all. This is still wet, it's on the blocking mats. 1 pair of these will go to my friend who's just discovered she's going to be a grandma, and if it's not a little boy she'll pass it on to somebody who is, and the rest of them will either go in the gift bag or will go to the Carmarthenshire Prem Baby unit, who I believe are always looking for socks and blankets and things. So that's them. I've used all that Regia First baby wool. By the time I'd finished, I was heartily sick of Regia First baby wool. I did 2 days on Carmarthen Market where I sat and knitted baby socks at both store cattle sales. So I'm sure the local farmers think I'm bonkers, but it turns out I can knit a whole sock in the time it takes the auctioneer to sell a day's worth of store cattle. So that's the first object. Next, much more fun, Sealy McQueely colour lapis. It is a medium, the zigzag sock, no modifications. I think I cast on 48 or 52, can't remember, it's on my Ravelry page. This sock, it reflects light, so if I shine a torch on it in a dark room, it'll bounce back, and it's lots of fun. I've still got a good 40 grams of this left. This wool goes a very long way, but I was keen to use it because I've got 1 ball of blue and 2 balls of pink, and I thought it's time I actually got this out of my stash while the children are young enough to find it funny that grandma's got sparkly socks, or mummy has, or somebody has. So yeah, lovely wool to knit with, 2.5mm needles. Great, really pleased. I don't think I'll be buying any more of it at Wonderwool Wales, which is where I got that last year, just because I haven't got a job for it. It just amuses me. Yes, next finished object. If you remember, I knit in 2025 about 7 sweaters, Alafosslopi, 18/9, very traditional pattern, and I used largely Gefjun wool, which is their different brand of Alafosslopi, but it's very thick. Knits up to a 13mm gauge on, not a 13 gauge on 6mm needles. So I had a Let Loppy pattern called The Little Shepherd in a different book, which is a child's pattern, and I adapted the chart and converted it all up to the Alafoss 18/9. And using my scraps, I have knit a man's XXL, which is about a 48-inch chest. Ta-da! All blocked and ready to go. Got to be a bit creative with the colours. So I tried to balance it. In order to get the colours to balance, I cast on the 2 sleeves and the main body together. And every time I changed the colourway going up, I did the 2 sleeves and the body together, so that all the way up it's an absolute match. Would it have mattered if it wasn't? No, it really wouldn't, but it just amused me. So this sweater is for a friend called Bob. I'd knitted an Alafosslopi sweater for him in XXL, and the day he put it on, it was bunching like mad here with too much material. He's got a son called Tommy who is a much bigger frame than him, so I'm going to suggest that Bob wears this and that Tommy has the slightly bigger one. But I'm really pleased with how this has come out. I'm not sure what Bob will think of having bits of pink in his sweater. He may or may not like it, but if he doesn't, he can always, I don't know, feed it to the dog or something, who would know. So I was so pleased with that. You know how you get carried away, and it didn't use nearly as much wool as I'd hoped, that I cast on a second. And this is for Gareth, who is a metal detectorist, who has come and for many years, he has come and helped us on the farm whenever we have been stuck. He's been poorly of late. But anyway, this is a sweater for Gareth. So I've knit it in XL. It is exactly the same size as Bob's. It's just slightly different colourways, slightly more dark in it. And interestingly, I wanted to mix it up. So I used some of the Chinese unspun Postage, I thought. However, it turns out my Chinese unspun, bear with, is a Munster base. It's actually double spun, exactly like Munster. So that was a bonus because I was expecting to have to hold that double. It's very soft. Much softer than I expected. I used the green and I used the beige of the same unspun, just for one strand at the bottom. So you'll see here it's the same again on the sleeves and on the sweater. It's very soft. I don't know how it's going to wear. Usually unspun, when it's blocked, is as tough as old boots, and it behaves exactly the same as spun wool. But I haven't held this with anything other than unspun. It's just double unspun. So will it be as tough? I've no idea. Who can say? But anyway, I'm very pleased with how they've come out. They've come out to the exact right size. That one is still wet, and it's just come out of the blocking bowl, and it needs to dry flat for probably a day, 2 days, something like that. Any other finished objects? Oh, no, I don't think so. Right, so we're on to works in progress. I have, very stupidly probably, agreed to do a test knit for Elizabeth Smith, because I absolutely adore her patterns. Her and Sophie, the Knit Pearl Girl. I've never knit Crabia, but I understand she's the same. But Elizabeth Smith, she writes the most beautiful patterns with an enormous amount of detail right from top to bottom. This is a double knit weight. She recommends light worsted or double knit, and she recommends, she's knitted in Sandner's yarn, 53% cotton, 33% viscose, 14% linen, and she's done it in 2 colours, and it's called the Tideline. It's not a secret, I can tell you all about it. So it's a Tideline tank, sleeveless tank, beautiful. So I have gauge swatched 5, I think. My first gauge swatch was with this Rowan Superfine Merino wool, and I got to 21, and the gauge should be 20. I then did cashmere held double, I did Hertigan held with cashmere, I did double Hertigan, I did another blend as well. I've done 4 or 5 of them, and they're all not meeting gauge. So I've come back to my first one, and I was out just by half of a stitch. This is 20.5 gauge, and the gauge should be 20. I can live with that. I don't mind if it's ever so slightly a different size, it's fine. So I've only actually cast this on today, just getting going. And I did laugh, on my very first row it says knit on the knit rows, purl on the wrong side, knit on the right side, purl on the wrong side, start with the wrong side row. Well, of course I started with a knit row, so I had to tink it back, start with the purl row. But anyway, we've now done 8 rows of that, so we're off and running. I'll be amazed if I have a problem with it, because all of her patterns are so beautifully written, and she's also got YouTube tutorials everywhere. So if I suddenly think, oh, how does she want this cast on doing, I can go and have a look on the tutorial. Next work in progress is the Munster socks by Woollen Knots. I got this pattern with a 15% discount through a Ruth Who Loves to Knit agreed discount, and I haven't made very good progress. I've only done the cuff. It's 3.5mm needles, and it is, I'm using Rowan sock wool held double to get the double knit weight. This is fingering, and I'm using my beautiful gifted project bag, which was Makes by Mia, thank you very much, which was won in a prize by Ruth Who Loves to Knit, so it seems very apt that that lives in there. I hope I like the Munster pattern as much as I enjoyed the Connaught socks. I knit 3 pairs of Connaught socks, absolutely love that pattern. I've no reason for thinking I won't love the Munster, but if I don't, I shall just rip them back and do another Connaught pair of socks. Knitting double knit socks is really nice because it knits up so fast, and I was thinking to myself, I should buy more, now bear this in mind for in a minute, I should buy more plain coloured sock wool so I can do more cabled socks. But in a minute you're about to discover that that's just another one of my fantasies. Next I've got some other work in progresses. Here we go. What have I got? Oh, nope, you've seen that. This is a Rowan. You've seen the Munster socks. Yeah, there's only one left, which is the Daniela sweater by Claudia Quintanilla, who is Unit. I think she's based in Toronto. It's a really simple raglan sport weight with a really nice raglan detail. The wool I've got is Blue Sky Fibres, alpaca and silk. It is to die for soft. It's absolutely beautiful. It might be that it's a little bit drapey and drops, but to be honest, I'm just going to love it because it is so beautiful. I've only done the collar. I've just been so busy on my Gefjuns, I haven't made any progress, and I'm going to focus completely on my test knit because my dread is not finishing a test knit. So I always tend to be in that first cohort group, but I've wasted a whole week of swatching and faffing and fiddling and not being happy with my swatches. So I'm a week behind the fast starters. I'm going to Wonderwool on Saturday early, and if I popped in my local wool shop, Bumblebees in Llandudno, to see if they had any of the Sanders garn, and they didn't. I also wanted to see if they had 52 weeks of sweaters from Lena magazine, the Lena book, and no, they didn't have that either, which was a shame. And I also asked if they had any other double knit weight that would knit to a 20 stitch gauge. They didn't have that either. But what they did have was a beautiful, beautiful range of Juniper Moon, of Nellie and Eve. And I literally stroked everything, probably drove the lovely owner, whose gentleman was in there. I probably drove him nuts because I was busy with stroking everything. I didn't film. I just had a lovely time looking at it thinking, beautiful wool. You know, there is something nice about beautiful native British wool. Anyway, so I've digressed here, haven't I? Although that does nicely lead us on to acquisitions. So I get up every hour in the night and I look at the cameras and see if anything's lambing or carving. And if it's not, I roll over and go back to sleep. Sometimes something's thinking about lambing, so I have to stay awake. Otherwise it could be a disaster. Sometimes something's actively lambing and I have to get up and go out and do my shepherdess job. Right, so this probably doesn't make any sense to you, but it does to me. So on one of these occasions, I had to stay awake. So as you do, Vinted, doom scrolling. And there was a gentleman or somebody there selling a huge quantity of sock wool. I mean, like as if they'd had a shop and they'd shut the shop down and it was whatever was left in the bargain bucket. And I started to look, and the first thing that caught my eye was some West Yorkshire Spinners Silent Night, the Christmas Sparkle. So bing, took me straight in. Then there was some opal yarns, and bottom line was there was 24 balls of yarn there. And I put a really cheeky offer in of £2 a ball. And with postage and with the insurance thing and everything else, and I think he came back and wanted a few pound more, it came to £2.50 a ball in the end, and I bought all 24 balls. So here we go. It's quite unusual, some of it. Shuffle. This is hand dye. I've never ever seen this before. It's made in Germany. Sock wool. Exactly the same again. Sock wool. Now all this has been in my freezer for 10 days, however long, it's hard to remember. Socks, bamboo rainbow. Sheepies socks. Some of these are only 50 grams, which is going to be, I have to just make children's with them. Opal sock wool, which I absolutely adore. I've only ever had 1 or 2 skeins of it before, but I really like the way opal knits up in socks. Something called Trekking XXL. What can you say? Never heard of it, but nice. The one ball that's not sock is one Aran ball, all by its lonesome. Don't know why that was in the mix. It's 60% acrylic, 40% wool. I'll have to knit something up for a child, or I might pop it with my Elder Stash, which is a lot of acrylic Aran in it. Super bra twirl. I've never heard of this before, but it's a sock blend, and it knits up like that, which is fun, I thought. Oh, classic zigzag sock wool, 75-25. That's my go-to pattern. That's how I discovered sock knitting, because I once bought a ball of this, and with the ball of this I got the free sock pattern. How's that for a sock pattern colour? Very pink. So I'm making use of that. Super Bar Susu. Again, it's just sock wool blend, and it knits up to that pattern, which is quite good fun, I thought. We're not finished yet. It's just the list goes on. I hope you're not getting bored. 2 balls of berger. Another opal. This one's called Fairy Tale. And something called Super Bar Footballs, which is really cute, I thought. Another opal. Another opal. This is the famous Silent Night. I've always wanted to try this. I'd love to have bought the gingerbread or mulled wine or whatever it was called this year, but I didn't. Because this is £10 a ball, one of those, if you go to a wool shop. And that makes it £10 for a pair of socks, and that really hurts me. £2.50 for a pair of socks I can bear. Sheepies. This feels absolutely lovely. It's just 70% merino superwash and 30% polyamide. I don't know why it feels so much softer than the other, but it does. Regia, I think that's lovely. Classic, isn't it? Another one, arabesque colour work. And a Fable Drops. I've never knit with Fables Drops, but I've knit with Luca S socks, and I'm told it's exactly the same. And one I've never seen before, Woolcraft Superwash Sock Yarn. And there you go. So that was my acquisitions. Every single one is stripy. And literally, not a day before I was on Vinted, I was thinking I really need to buy only sock wool, which is plain. So then I can use it for collars and cuffs and for holding double to make beautiful cabled socks. Well, that memo never got in, did it? That just went in and out somewhere. Oh dear. So my last bit of acquisitions was a prize. I was absolutely thrilled to bits. Thank you so much. I discovered Ravelry, and there's lots of wonderful community forums and things, and you can shove a picture up if you've done something. So say you're in a make-along, and there's a lovely make-along, the Stash Down make-along. And I got this amazing email to say, there you go, you have won a prize. Congratulations on your prize. I mean, this is 2 prizes. I never win prizes. April Club Stitch Marker Box. Now, I did open this because I was too excited not to, because it came just very, very, very closely after my last podcast was released. Welcome aboard, cozycrab.co.uk. And it's a stitch marker box. And I absolutely love it. How cute is that? A stitch marker box. And it slides. The tin slides open. There you go. And they very kindly sent me some Cozy Crab stitch markers. I've never had things like this in my knitting world. 2 stoppers, needle stoppers. Now, I've never ever had these, and these are absolutely wonderful because I'm knitting on the round. Some lovely stickers. Look at this. And Smarties. And a cup of tea. And look, I've got some gorgeous stitch markers in here with pearls on. I'm going to pop them in the tin so they don't get lost. So thank you very, very, very much, Stash Down competition people. Absolutely overjoyed. Having never won a prize, I've won 2 prizes in 2 make-alongs. All I can say is, come on everybody, get your entries in, because if I'm winning prizes, it must mean that there aren't many people doing it. I was a bit worried about this one. I took it out of the freezer, and the plastic, they were all individual plastic Asda bags, and I thought the wool had got wet, but it was just condensation on the bag. Do you know what's amazing? This is 2 balls, so your socks are going to match perfectly. I've got 2 of these. Isn't that absolutely phenomenally clever? Oops. I mean, the things you buy when you're in the middle of the night in Vinted, really, it's all just a big fun exploration. It does mean that, where is my book is buried. It does mean that my annual wool spending so far this year, I won't count the presents in because I did get gifted some wool in America, so I'm not going to put that cost in. The wool that I have bought so far this year, I spent £60 on Vinted on this sock wool. I spent £84 on Vinted in March, I think it was. And I got a huge amount. That averaged £1.84 a ball. So far this year, I'm up to £144 on wool. And I have got a huge amount of wool. This Vinted stash here is 24 skeins, 8,760 metres, 2,150 grams. Oh, however, so far in April, and it won't change between now and the end, because I only count finished projects, I've used 2,990 grams, so I'm still 800 grams more out than in. I've used 27 skeins, and I've used 6,842 metres. The less meterage is because I've been knitting in chunky. So yeah, depending on what I buy in Wonderwool Wales, I have a shopping list for Wonderwool Wales, and I can show you actually what's on my shopping list. Back in 2024, I bought 4 balls of Nora George with glitter fingering sock wool, and I wanted to hold it with mohair to knit a making together a part sweater by, I think it's Claudia Quintanilla. Yeah, I'm sure it is. And I bought this Rowan Kid Silk Mohair Haze from eBay, and I don't think they match. So I need some fingering sock wool to go with that. I've got 19 balls of that, and I've got 4 of this, so 1,600 metres of this. So I'm going to take these with me to Wonderwool Wales to make sure I do a tidy match, because I don't think you can do this on the internet. You can't see the colours right. And my other job in Wonderwool Wales is my shoplifting incident. Now, if the woman isn't there this year, I promise, I will email yakibog@icloud.com, see hot butter yarns. I was picking up leaflets on spinning wheels and all manner of things and talking to people, and I picked up this beautiful pattern book. I've no interest in making it. I don't have any wool of this sort, although one fine day I'm sure I would love to, but I'm a bit scared of starting another obsession. If I decide to knit one of these, I'd go out and I'd spend £150 on Jamieson beautiful wool to knit one of these, and then I'd have leftovers, so then I'd go and buy some more, and so it goes on and on and on. However, I picked this up, wandered off with it, had no idea I had picked it up. It is beautiful. I mean, it really is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. A beautiful pattern, beautifully written, talking about steeking. I feel as if, because it's come to me by accident, A, I should pay for it this year, and B, I should knit it. I think it's a sign saying, Maria, come on now, knit me. Anyway, so that's going in my bag just to make sure that I identify the right stand. And poor old Yaki Bog hot butter yarns, and I'm going to apologise, and hopefully if she's in the same place, she's very close to the spinning wheels. If not, I'll just email her and apologise and send her some money. But it's funny the things you find after a day out. You know, I'm used to finding wet flannels, half a cup of coffee, all manner of things. Oh, I have laughed. Apparently, on the way into Wonderwool Wales, we are going to get our bags searched because of the anti-terrorism laws thing. So they have to randomly search various bags, which I'm not against. I mean, when we go anywhere, it's how they keep us safe, isn't it? We need to be kept safe, sadly. So different people were on one of the forums saying, well, are they going to search you on the way in or on the way out? And I was thinking about all the things that will be in my bag had I not been tipped off. This bag has been emptied. Had it not been emptied, it would have had some castration rings, a penknife, some baler twine for a tricky lambing, some iodine, perhaps a pair of marigold gloves, head torch, who knows? So all the agricultural paraphernalia is out. And the only thing that will be in it now is my purse, those 2 balls I need to match. And I am so excited. Honestly, they can search me out as many times as they like. I couldn't be more excited if I was going on a world cruise. Bring on Wonderwool Wales. I've waited for 6 months to do this. I've been into Bumblebees in Llandudno 3 times to try to match. And it's a little beautiful rural wool shop. You know, they cannot stock everything. It's unreasonable. You know, they can't do it. I mean, there's only 1,800 people live in town. So anyway, off I go to Wonderwool Wales to have my big shopping spree. And then I'm going to have to get my thinking cap on about what am I going to knit now. Obviously, I've got my test knit, I've got my Daniela, socks are ongoing, they're just constant. I want to knit them together apart. I want to knit a size suit for a child to use up some of the loppy. I'd like to knit a little shepherd sweater, which is this, but to the schematics of a child, which I think would be lovely in knitting loppy, not Alafosslopi. But I have got all this Gefjun wool lurking. So I went last night to bed, and I've got to go to bed really early. I go to bed at 6:30, 7 because I'm awake at 1. I took an old book that I bought a long time ago, and I found something. I have knit it before. Oh, but people, look at this book. I think it's the Reynolds. Oh, it's not the Alafosslopi brand. It is the other brand of loppy wool, which is probably long gone. Yeah, it's called Reynolds yarn. There's loads and loads of patterns in this. I've knit this before. I knit this for my grandson when he was, I think, three perhaps, down in Cornwall, because he's a beach babe. And I think I've got enough of the Gefjun wool left to knit probably 3 of these. And what I will do is what I've previously done. I've got a lot of Plotterlopi unspun, which I'll hold double. I won't use this. This is so soft. I think this is going to be a shawl. It's just beautiful. Chinese wool. It cost £1.24 a ball. I mean, God, yeah, anyway, never mind. So I'll use Plotterlopi. I'll hold it double because I've got a big range of colours. I've got yellows and all sorts of different colours. There's another one in here which is really, really, really sweet, which I may have a go at, just because it's such a sweet pattern. Where am I at? Not that way. These old patterns are so funny. I mean, look at that. Couldn't you just see a toddler in that? But of course, the wool is so itchy. I do have some Debbie Bliss Aran, which are maybe not the same gauge. No, forget that. I think I might be talking nonsense. Where is that pattern? Pattern. There are absolutely tons of, oh, that one. I think that is lovely. I really do. It's got love hearts in. It's quite long. And it is knit up in, it's actually knit up in loppy. So the gauge would be wrong, but I might be able to steal the chart and do something with it. Or not, whatever. There's just so many options. There is so many things I want to knit. And I am trying to be mindful about my stash, which is hard to believe given what I've just bought. But it is interesting. In January, I had 457 skeins, and even after buying these 24, I'm only on 464. So I'm only actually up 7 skeins, except that I am going to be buying at Wonderwool Wales. And my grams, 1st of January, I was 29,000 grams. I am now 28,000 grams. So I'm down 1,000 grams, but I'm up 9 skeins. I certainly did not need any sock wool. I have got 2 tubs full of sock wool, absolutely rammed full. But at £2.20 or whatever it was, £2.40 a ball, and that would be £10. I think, do you know what? It's not going to go out of fashion. It's been in the freezer. It's not got any moths. I'm going to put it back in its lovely little plastic bags and enjoy knitting it in the future. But if anybody wants any, give me a shout. I'll post it to them. Yeah. Speaking of which, I am posting today my Aran vintage waistcoat to my friend who I think it will fit and who did have Herdwicks. I don't think she's got Herdwicks anymore. I think she's retired. She might not like it. I'll put a little card in to say, if you don't like it, pass this on to one of your other buddies. She lives in the Lake District, so she's surrounded by Herdwick farmers. The only girl I know who's got Herdwicks here is very, very young. She's not even 40. And she'd be horrified at the thought of an Aran cardigan. She'd be like, what? She wears North Face and Rab and trendy gear. Right, so I think that's everything I've got to talk to you about today. Thank you very, very, very much once again for my present. It was a 2026 stash down for on Ravelry, and I'm absolutely thrilled to bits. There's 2 girls running it. Well done them. It brings me great joy. It makes knitting fun. By its very nature, knitting is a solitary activity, but actually Ravelry and all these community people, it just makes it fun, doesn't it? I love Instagram. I love seeing what people are knitting. I'm really enjoying the whole being retired and knitting. I'm just having the best time ever. So thank you very much. If you've got this far, I'd be really grateful if you'd like and subscribe. I'm sorry it's a very, very long podcast. I'll put a little bit of some farming pictures at the back end so you can just see what we're up to. But actually, yeah, we're down to the last 30 to lamb. Oh, thank you. And we're about a quarter of the way through carving. So thank you very much. I'll be back very soon after with an update after my Wonderwool Wales spin. Bye-bye.